Wow, that's another way to do it. Okay, we could do it this way, or we can start the show that way. We decided we'd start the show that way today. Man, welcome back to the Erskin Music Show. We are up to 792 subscribers. We're pushing forward this season 4, to 800 subscribers. And the reason why we're able to do that is because of you. You come here each day and you check out what's going on, except for those 2 days. You didn't come those 2 days because Facebook said, that whole national anthem thing. Sorry about that. And then there was another day where I was talking about Putin. Wasn't saying anything bad about him. You know how we pray for people on this show. We pray for salvation on this show. But maybe it was a little bit too political for Facebook. It's like, So those 2 days were a little bit choppy in the annals and the archives for the Erskin Music Show. But other than that, we've been cruising. And you guys have been representing strong out there. So if you are tuning in today, unfortunately, this is a pre-recorded show. That's not a problem because you'll still get all the content that you would have gotten anyway, except today I'm hustling. Ricky Ross. I'm up at the NRB convention today, and I'm getting ready for my performance later on today. And so I thought instead of try to be in 2 places at the same time, we'll get everything set up there, do what we need to do at the NRB convention. Oh, wait. Yeah, I know. We're going to get to that. You're asking yourself the question, what is the NRB convention? Where are you at? What's going on? Why are you not here with us so that you can field our comments? So, we'll explain that. This is what the day's show is all about. If you don't know what the NRB convention is and you think it's just, whatever you think it is, I'm gonna clarify what the NRB convention is, and I'm gonna give you guys what I believe is a heartwarming and nigh unto more miraculous story of how God has involved me in this organization, in this group. And so, if you're an artist that's out there, especially watching this, and you want to know how I've gotten to where it is that I've gotten, I don't even know where I'm at. I know where I'm at right now, but how I've gotten over to the convention center and playing on the main stage to open up this entire conference. If you want to know how I've gotten to that situation, you'll want to stick around and hear the story of how the NRB has shaped everything that we are doing to some degree in Erskin music. I don't think that's an overstatement. I don't think that's an overreach. It has shaped, the NRB conference has shaped everything we do. We would not be using media the way that we're using media to reach the globe had it not been for the influence of the NRB convention. And so, yeah, I can say everything that you are seeing right now is a result of the NRB and some of my interactions with the folks that are there. And so let me give a couple of shouts out today. We are giving props to Facebook Live, even though they shut me down, YouTube Live, even though they shut me down, and Twitter, which has never been mean to me. And so we like them. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, enable the notifications. That's what every social media influencer says. And so that's kind of like our script. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe. So go ahead and do what you need to do so that you don't miss a single episode of the Erskin Music Show, unless I, for some reason, figure out how to get my show banned, which I'm a little bitter about that. I felt like, anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. There's all these copyright things. And, when you cite fair use, you can use certain things, but then there's certain things that you can't use. But it's really kind of unclear as to if you're using it for educational purposes, how to use it. But anyway, we'll get to that a little bit later. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know the Johnson City audience in the state of Tennessee is very strong. Nashville is coming along in there as well. Texas is strong in their support and their love, and we always appreciate that, being from the state of Texas. Man, other parts of the country are strong as well. The Midwest tends to be pretty strong in reference to this show. And so thank you guys so much for your comments and your interaction with the show. The live audience that tunes in during this time, I've got Cookeville, Tennessee that's represented as well. Don't want to forget you guys. I know I'm forgetting some people that are out there, but the live audience that tunes in, you guys are tremendous. There's a growing, and I would say the reason why we're up to almost 800 subscribers now, there's a growing international audience that tunes in and watches this. And so if you're watching this somewhere outside of the United States at a different time, you're like, this isn't any different to me because I don't normally watch it live to be able to comment. And so for you, welcome. Come on in. The water's fine. We love it. And so the Erskin Music Show, we try to do a couple of things really quickly off the bat. If you've never seen this show before and you're interested in, hey, how does a music artist who has a big mouth essentially talk about so many different things a guy that is a follower of Jesus Christ get himself in so much trouble, and a guy that we would not suspect would be doing as well as he's doing is doing what he's doing in the music industry without a record label and without virtually a machine to help produce the numbers and the effects that he's producing. And I would say all glory to God. I'm the first person to say that. But there are a couple of nuggets that I'll drop in the show from time to time. And I think today may be a couple of those nuggets. If you're an entrepreneur and you're out there and you're watching this, that would be another niche. There's people who watch the show with an entrepreneurial mindset. Hey, look at real, recognize real. Like, you guys can look at the camera and be like, that dude, I know. I don't have to know what it is that he's doing. I just can look at that guy and say, that guy is doing some of the things that everybody does who's a successful entrepreneur. Now, we're hoping to grow the show. We're hoping to do some miraculous things. The Lord is going to do that. But we're hoping to do some phenomenal things that will allow us to expand the platform so that we're able to share with more people about the incredible things that God has done. All right, so let's shift gears just a little bit. There's a segment that we like to call That's Weird.
That's weird.
I like to come at the show off the jump with a little bit of humor, a little bit of levity, because some of the topics that we get into are quite heavy. We talk about pro-life a lot on this show. We talk about issues related to ethnicity and race on this show, a fair amount. In fact, that's all we talk about on the weekend show. And so politics and religion, the things that you shouldn't be talking about, are pretty much the only things that we do talk about on this show. And so we get into some really heavy topics. We get into some sort of music. I don't want to necessarily call it industry, but just some tried and true music things that are related to folks that I'm, associated with in the industry. We get into that as well. But when we get into some heavy topics, I want to balance those out with a bit of levity at the beginning of the show, just so that people come on in, just feel comfortable, feel like you get to know me, and to know me is to love me, and to love me is to know me. Big head, write that one down. All right, so the Babylon Bee is satirical commentary on things that are going on. Do they go too far? Yeah, they probably do. Is it a little too soon? Yeah, it's probably a little too soon, but some of the things that they say, they have an essence and a granule of truth to them, but it's completely falsified so that we laugh a little bit instead of being angry all the time. And I love the fact that they have kind of taken that approach. I don't think as Christians we can live in satire, because I think sometimes if you live in satire, and this is my personal opinion off the jump, if you want to know what I think about satire and the reason why I don't use it more, I think if you live in satire, it becomes a sort of accepted way to criticize people and to make fun of people. And Ephesians 4:29 in the Bible, the good book, tells us to let no corrupt communication proceed from your mouth, except that was good for the building up of others, that we minister grace to the hearers. And so with that in mind, I want to submit to you what are 10 things. Are you ready for this? This is weird.
That's weird.
10 things that if you are following this crisis that's taking place in Ukraine, and it is a crisis. If you're following this thing in Ukraine, Americans love to boycott. We love to make our statement known that we are against such things. And so let me give you 10, not 5, not 7, not 8, not 9, but 10 ways that you, my friends, according to the Babylon Bee, can boycott Russia and let those Ruskies know what you think about this scenario. This is what we're good at, Americans. America is good at this sort of thing. The article goes on to state, and this is linked to the show notes today. As Putin's wicked forces of darkness bear down upon the peaceful utopia of Ukraine, you may be asking yourself, what can I do to help? Fortunately, there are things that we can all do to express our extreme displeasure with Putin that will surely make a powerful effect. Somehow we can do our part as citizens. Duh, America, we can stick it to them. Here are 10 things that you can do to protest Russia, because that's what we do. We protest. Here we go. We can, number 1, return your Russian mail order bride. You may have said your vows, but she'll definitely understand when you tell her it's important to the war effort. Yeah, lady, going back over there. Is that still a thing? Apparently that is still a thing. I don't know if it's as much a thing as it used to be. I don't even know how it ever became a thing, excuse me, with human trafficking and situations being the way that they are, that whole mail order bride situation. I've just stayed away from my entire life because you're just supposed to flee the appearance of evil. Like, and I, truth be known, I know a couple of people who are mail order brides, and they're some of the nicest people in the world. So I don't get it. I'm done. I'm done. That.
That's
Okay, I'm back. That wasn't that weird. Number two, you can pass over the Russian mob when you're hiring hitmen. You have plenty of other options. You can get the Mexican cartel, MS-13, or you can get Hillary Clinton. Come on. Okay, if we're gonna do this the right way, we need oh wow, hey, that was a gong. It's getting serious around here now. All right. So anyway, number three, you can disavow communism. Well, really, you should have done this a long time ago. But apparently, America, that's kind of what communism is not so bad. Okay. All right. Number four, you can throw away your beef stroganoff hamburger helper. You can replace it with an all American cheese macaroni flavor. That works in our house. Replace it so that you can tell the Russians, take that, you Ruskies. All right. Number five. Oh, sorry. You can watch a bunch of 80s movies, but fast forward every time a Russian is on the screen. Do not give them the honor of screen time. Exactly. No more Rocky movies. Actually, we should probably watch Rocky. Let's fight. Come on, let's go. Rocky wins in the end. He beats, I think it's Ivan Drago. He beats Drago. And yeah, that's pretty cool that we can watch that movie over and over again, knowing the outcome of that is that America beats Russia. Cold War, baby. Number six, stop doing that one Russian dance where you squat and kick your legs out. We got a little image of that. That's awesome. I love it. Let's get that dance. Just dance, everybody. Come on, that's what we need. The guy that's in the corner of this, don't do what he's doing. Don't that dance, just ban it. If you see somebody doing that dance, you got to go up and you got to report them, kind of like we did with mask, and just like, hey, buddy, got to put the mask on, or hey, buddy, you got to stop doing that dance. Number 7, 9 in the 10 ways that we can get away from Russia, that we can stick it to the Ruskies. Use the term hurrying instead of Russian. Oh boy. I'm hurrying, not I'm rushing around. I got it. Did you? Okay. These small sacrifices really add up over time. I love the Babylon Bee. Number 8. Let's get to this. You can buy, and I'm sure if I was actually here, people would be making all sorts of snide comments about all these different things. In fact, normally when I have these moments, people make more comments about this than they do my Bible stuff. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, okay. So anyway, that all said, number 8, you can buy 10 million Adidas tracksuits so there won't be any left over for the Russians to buy. Actually, this might hurt the Ukrainians too, so never mind. Oh man, did we see what was it? Hawkeye. Did you guys see the series Hawkeye? I don't mean to give Disney Plus and Marvel too much credit here, because just like they giveth, they also taketh with some of the things that they put on the screen. But I can just simply say that that little scene where it's like the Russian tracksuit guys as an official name for an organized crime syndicate, I thought was hilarious. It added a lot of levity to that series. And if you didn't watch it, then I'm not endorsing it. I'm not telling you you need to watch it. You're no less of a person if you didn't watch that than anybody else that's out there. Okay, no counseling. You don't need counseling for that. If you didn't watch that series, it's cool. But the Russian tracksuits could also be the Ukrainian tracksuits guys as well. Okay, let's go. We got a big list here today, and I got some stories to tell. 10 ways. Number 9, write them down or look up the article. Here we go. Sell your vacation home in Moscow. Okay, this really only applies to Bernie Sanders. Okay, all right. And number 10, All right, number 10. You can throw a big red fake reset button in the trash. I don't really get that one, but I think I will when this said this. This is really only for Hillary Clinton. All right. The conservative and liberal jabs found in the Babylon Bee are epic. Whatever you do, it's important to remember to always join in whatever everyone is caught up in a mass shared hatred of an entire people group. It's your patriotic duty. That's what we do in America. That's how we do it in America. We boycott and we let people know we are against that country of Russia. And that hopefully will bring a little levity to a really serious situation that's out there. If you didn't laugh and you're like flaming mad as a result of that, might not be your show. So take the temperature down, sit on the couch, get the counseling that you need. It'll all be okay. If you're watching this and you're politically conservative and you had too much fun laughing at the Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton stuff, you need to stop. You need to stop that stuff. Man, I'm like Trip Lee up on this thing, man. People be thinking Republican is what Jesus be feeling. Nah, it's not like that on this show. But at the same time, if you were laughing a little bit, but too much on that stuff, you need to settle down. All right, let's get back to jump on this thing here. All right, we back, and it's the Erskin Music Show. Those were 10 ways that you could boycott Russia. And just a quick note here. This is maybe a little transitionary note here, a little cautionary tale. I think that it's sometimes ironic that we use these passive forms, social media forms, to try to aggress. I don't even know if that's a term, but I heard it when I was in India, so I'm going to use it now. To try to aggress people that we think are not reaching our cultural norm. Now, the reason why I say that it's a bit odd, but I guess I kind of get it. Like in religion, no matter, if you've been around Christianity, you know that there are certain morals and values and ethics, and there's ways that you kind of, you can go to certain churches and like everybody dresses a certain way, and like you kind of feel like you're like not as spiritual if you don't dress that way. And it's all like kind of steeped in self-righteousness. And we easily can kind of point out when there's churches that are just like, oh yeah, so you're only going to use that version of the Bible, and that's kind of how it is around this culture. Like they're the spiritual ones who use this version of the Bible, and then there's the unspiritual ones, or the ones that just got saved will give them a little bit of permission. But if they don't get more saved in a year or so and start dressing like we act, talk like we talk, homeschooling their kids, then they're not quite as spiritual. Like there's that, and we look at that and we're like, man, hypocrisy. We need to deconstruct. We need to get all of these things that are not essentials out of the church. And I've done episodes on that, so go check those out. But I think in culture we kind of have the same. Like everybody worships something. Like if politics is what you worship, and this world and the system of the world is what you worship, and kind of what you're involved in, then you do try to find minds that think the way that you do, and then you try to maybe ostracize or give a little shade to people who don't take your cultural mental perspective. And so that's something that can be observed. I think the Babylon Bee just kind of put a little bit of a pin and kind of poked at that, because as Americans, even though we have massive freedoms, we often use our freedom of speech so that we can criticize other people, not always and primarily so that we can help other people out. So that's my commentary on that. Just a quick punch. All right, it is the Erskin Music Show. Let me show love to the subscribers. YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter. Thanks for doing what you do. All right, get this stuff off screen. All right, it's the Erskin Music Show, and one of the songs that I'll be playing when I get to the NRB convention is the song Grace Made the First Move. So if you're at that session, which I would imagine that probably if you're watching this and you're not already at the NRB conference, you probably are not going to get this live for you like you would if you were there. So I'm going to give it to you on the show. If you've never heard my music before, I like to write pop, country, hip hop, R&B, ballad, soul, children's music, and EDM. So you're going to get a wide variety of that on this show. And this is the song Grace Made the First Move, inspired by the gospel, first of all, but then also the understanding that grace and God's grace is that which removes our sin and causes us to walk in fellowship with him. And so here's the song Grace Made the First Move. I'll come back after this and I'll tell you guys some remarkable stories. So tune in. If you're on the artist side of things and want to check that part of it out, that's great. Here we go. Grace made the first move.
I'm a self-made man with my well-laid plans, and I was taught to do it on my own. But I've tried and failed, and I've been derailed. From dust you picked me up, and now I know. Grace made the first move. Oh, what have I to fear? Victory is here. It overwhelmed my worn and weary soul. Nothing I could earn, what I don't deserve. This love is overcome. Grace made the first move. Oh, Grace made the first move. Oh.
All right. So I wanted to give you guys just a quick reminder. This is our top story for today. Just to let you guys know what the NRB is. Some of you guys may still be hanging out thinking, I have no idea what the NRB is. So just a quick. All right. So here we go. Let you guys get a little bit. All right, that was the promo from last year's NRB convention. We are obviously up 2022 now. Last year I was in Anaheim. This year it's back in Nashville. And so I'll tell what is to me an amazing story of my interaction with NRB. Okay, so this was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I'd kind of gotten newly started in Erskine music, and we were kind of traveling and doing some things and just really trying to figure out this whole world of who are the influencers that are out there. I knew that 5 miles literally from my house here in East Nashville, over at the Gaylord Hotel, they were having this convention. Well, the convention prices are generally around $700 or so to be able to go to the conference as a music artist. You know, even though we doing some things, no, there's no possible way that I'd be able to do that. But they have this exhibit hall. You can buy, I think, a little pass just so that you can go to the exhibit. You can walk around on the floor. You can meet all the people. They have displays that are there. Anybody who's in broadcasting and broadcast media, whether it be podcasts, whether it be terrestrial, broadband, anything that broadcasts and uses technology to get the message of Christ out, those people are there. So TBN, TD Jakes, all the major affiliates are there at the NRB. It's a networking opportunity. You're finding, sometimes they're finding people who are going to give them market shares on whatever television station. Sometimes they're finding partners they're going to partner with them in whatever programming. Sometimes they're looking for potential. Like if there's a pastor who's starting to pop off and he's like, hey, I want to get myself on the radio. What do I need to do? What are the channels I need to go to? I've got my good friends at Salem who do those sort of things. And Moody Radio is going to be there as well. And so all of these media people. And so I just thought to myself, that's 5 miles away from my house. I don't really know what this is. I don't really know what I'm doing. And so very first time that I went, I started in, long story short, I was networking with some folks and I began talking to a man. I'm not going to say his name on air just because I still want to talk to him. But shortly into our conversation, I began realizing that this person is not a believer. And so scratch the head kind of moment there. We're at a major Christian conference and this person is not a believer. So what should I do? What would you do in this situation? Anyway, I started witnessing and we talked for about an hour, just kind of more of apologetics kind of conversation, really trying to get down to the heart of it. And then he looks at me and he's like, okay, you've answered all of my questions. I don't want to be a Christian. Okay, there we are. And I remember having that moment where I was just like, it's like he popped the balloon. I was like, okay. I mean, biblically, theologically, I can't take the conversation any farther with regards to Christ at this moment because I think I've clearly stated the gospel. What he knows what it is that he's rejecting, and he's just going to clearly and calmly go ahead and reject it. That made that easy for me. We went out to eat. We hung out. It was great. We have a wonderful relationship, I would believe, to this day. Anytime I'm in New York, I think I could call him. We'd hang out. Last time I was in New York, we were not able to get together because of the time frame that was there. But man, great dude. He was Indian. Indians tend to be great people. I'm not just stereotyping them, but a lot of them are great people. And so he said, hey, I have some friends that want to meet you. And I remember him saying it that way because I was intrigued. Like, what friends did he have that want to meet me? Because nobody, you might think there's some people who know me now. Nobody knew me back then. And so I'm like, okay, all right. So lo and behold, there's some folks that show up in the corner of the room and they're having a conversation. He goes over, has a conversation with me, looking, pointing at me. Hey, this guy over there. Okay. Like, oh, who? That guy over there. Okay. Yeah. So they're having a conversation. He comes back and like, hey, these guys would love to meet with you. And I think that'll be great. So, I'm like, I'm a little bit hesitant because a group of dudes just came in the room. They're all Indian. I love Indians, but sometimes their facial expressions don't always let me know that they love me. So I'm kind of like, these dudes are looking at me. Where I'm from, if they were looking at me like that, they either want to fight me or something's about to go down and they don't like. Okay, so anyway, I'm trying to get past these cultural barriers. I'm trying to interpret what's going on there, but I'm thinking, okay, this guy and I have had such a wonderful conversation. Surely we are endeared to one another to the point where he would put me in the good care and hands of these friends of his. And so I end up going up to these guys and introducing myself. They introduce them. What do you do? I'm a music artist. I've got my guitar on my back. That's what I used to do back in the day. I used to carry my guitar all the time because I'm like, hey, you know what? people may ask me to get this thing out. I may actually, as my business card, and this is a pro tip for you. When I go to these conferences, I carry my guitar. I don't always now because I've got to carry some other gear, but I used to carry my guitar all the time because the first thing that people are going to say, oh, looking at your name tag, oh, your name is Erskin. What do you do? I'm a music artist. Really? Play something or sing something. They say that all the time. And so you have no idea the influence that has happened in my life just by me getting the guitar off my back, ripping it. Grace Made the First Move, or All in My Head, or any of the number of the 7 albums. I'm just going to rip a song out. And like, oh, then that leads to another thing. Like, you really are an artist. And so I used to hustle like that. So these guys say, hey, we have control of, authority over, founders of 4 television broadcasts, and we serve some 60, 70 million people in our broadcast range. We want you to come. Our English contingent is about 10 million people, and we want you to come and share your testimony so that you can witness to 10 million people. What do you say to that, people? Well, I didn't even know these guys a few minutes ago, and they want me to come and share my testimony, which is essentially just sharing the gospel, to 10 million people. Let me think about that. Let me pray and have fasting and go to the holy moment and just think if I should do that. Of course, I'm going to go and do that. Y'all know I'm aggressive like that. Anyway, I go up to their room, having the interview, share my testimony, and they're kind of looking at themselves, shaking their head. You know, this I'm not picking up on the cultural clues that are going on here. Shaking their heads, big head. You remember this moment. They're shaking their heads and they're like, okay, so what? So like get to the good stuff. Like tell us the part where like it got really exciting in your life. I'm like, man, I was changed from life to death. Anyone who's Christ is a new creation. The oldest passed away, the new has come. I'm like fired up because I was a sinner and I was unsaved. And then my heart was regenerated and I put my faith in Christ. And so I'm like walking through like the golden chain with these guys. And they're like, yeah, but, and I'm like, no, yeah, but anything of this. If I'm going to broadcast, I'm going to broadcast. So we just went like level 10 in that room. And it's funny today because we've had a couple of level 10 blowups between ourselves over the years because we're so closely, like our mindsets are so closely aligned. I should have known at that time. So I remember walked out of the room, picked up my phone. I called my wife. I was like, I just had an interview with some Indian guys. Worst interview I have ever had. I hated every moment of that experience. Left, went home. I was completely dejected. I was like, Lord, I came to this conference. I was looking, the one guy, I thought maybe that was a potential possibility. I'm like, any day, Lord, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I see the guys the next day at the conference and they're like, Erskin, hey, come here. I'm like, oh man, we about to fight. And like, we almost went to blows in the room. It got a little heated in the room because they didn't like my testimony. I told them, if you don't like my testimony, you can take that and shove it because my testimony is my testimony. My testimony is what comes directly out of the Bible. Don't be trying to add to it. Don't be trying to put rhetorical flourish on I'm telling you what I'm telling you. And that's what it is. And so I'm thinking these guys are coming back for day 2 and they're just like, man, we hated that interview. We're going to cut every part of that. No, thank you. We just wanted to give you one more kick out the door. And so I'm like a little hesitant to go up to this meeting and I meet these guys and I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're like, we loved your interview. Do what? We loved your interview. I would not, I guess culturally could not have interpreted it that way. Yeah, so that's cool. They're like, your story is amazing. Your talent is amazing. Your presentation is amazing. And we do a similar conference in India to what it is that you're at now. And it's the largest conference in the country. And we would love for you to come and be an American artist, play your songs, be at the conference, share your stories. And I'm like, what just happened? What? No, I didn't see that coming, Lord. Like I really didn't see that coming. And so the next couple of days we had lunch together, dinner together. We hung out. We become thick as thieves. So they invite me over to their conference. It's a little expensive to get over to India, but we begged, borrowed, and stole. No, we did everything except for steal to get to that first conference. And people were kind of like, I don't know, man, like media and like all these different things. But it was at that social media conference in India where everything in the Erskine music world began to crystallize and it all started to come together. The Lord has put me in a place where, and this is no offense if you're watching this and you're at a record label, I love what it is that you guys do. You had a model that worked for many people for many years. And so thank you for doing that. But that's not the only model that works for artists now. And so just being in a position where you have the opportunity to minister, broadcast, like I've become my own personality. And I tell people all the time, one of the things about entrepreneurship that clicked for me is that I always felt like I was this square peg trying to fit into a round hole. Either in the church, I was trying to fit into in a way that just was inauthentic to me and just felt sticky, or in like media, like when I'm around other artists, I was trying to fit into a, no, you have to sing it this way, or you have to do these things, you have to be seen this way. And I'm like, but that's not me. Like I want to do me. And so like this gave me the opportunity to say, the television shows that you think that you should be on, create those television shows. Like I'm creating television shows now that we can use in a variety of markets in a variety of ways. We can edit these, we can use these in different formats, we can teach through these, Patreon, all these different things. Like all the television shows that I thought that I would be on, I'm now creating those television shows, and I have complete mastery and a team that is around me that is helping to promote these things and to put them out in the way that is going to be advantageous for the kingdom and the way that we see that benefit growing. All the shows that we thought we needed to be doing because I mean, Lord, if you gave us talent, we're not using it, then I mean, were we hiding our light under a bushel? No, we don't want to do that. We're finding ways and avenues to be able to do that. And so this is not a swipe against the music industry, but this is just simply to say that there is another industry that's going on. But the industrious one is the artist themselves, the one who is finding and creating a team, creating value, creating content. And really the NRB, if I can just leave that up there, 2021, 2022, back in Nashville is about content creation. Now I'll get you to the miraculous part of the story. I've gone to India 4 or 5 times now. I've lived in India 4 or so months, tried to start major businesses over in India, created business partners in India, yeah. So India and I were close. About the third or so year I'd gone there, they'd come here and they were back here again, and we were in a hotel room, and I was like, hey, have you guys talked to our Indian friend? Who, I mean, we're at this point, the stuff that the Lord has done with us and the partnership that we have with India has just been miraculous. We love one another like brothers, and we've seen how we've been able to serve in both in India and serve together in the United States, and it's been just tremendous. Like it just fit, it just worked, it just was the right thing at the right time with the right people who have a heart of gold, who have the same passion for Christ and are using their resources to further the kingdom. Everything about it was just right. Right. And we were in the room and we were talking. This was after about 3 years or so. And we said to ourselves, my, what one introduction has done in opening up this whole new playing field. I talk to artists all the time. Man, if you're not hitting in America, go somewhere else. Like if you really think that you should hit, like I think like there's so many things that we've not done yet. Like I feel like if Erskine Music will go to the millions of subscribers if we were to start doing more stuff in England and overseas. Like I just know that would be the case. But right now we've got some responsibilities. Listen, I've got some folks in the music industry here, and I'm honored when you guys do this. But you guys put it up like, man, every time you start talking about leaving, we get sad. Like we really appreciate you being here. Like, no, I'm not leaving anytime soon. But man, if you're not hitting in America like you think you ought to be hitting in America, go overseas. Why? Like, what's stopping you from going overseas? Like, I've moved my entire family overseas for a little bit. And if you can find a sustainable way to do that, and there are lots of sustainable ways to do that, then man, do it. Like, experience another culture, be in another place where undoubtedly, if you're not the big fish in a small pond, then you're going to be at least the different fish in a unique pond, and people will appreciate you for that. So anyway, I'm going to close down the show at this point. A couple other things that I wanted to do and announcements that I wanted to make about the NRB. But suffice to say, here's the miraculous part of the story. We're in the hotel room and we're talking, and we're saying, hey man, that introduction that was given to you guys, man, I'm so thankful to that guy. And I'm not going to say his name, for introducing us. Your friend was just spot on about you guys. And they're like, who? I'm like, yeah, said the guy's name. And I'm like, I was like, come on, man. Stop playing. Stop. Don't play with my life like this. The friend that introduced us and told me that I needed to go with you guys because you guys were reputable and that you guys would want to talk to me and that I should trust you. And they're like, we vaguely remember that there was somebody that came up and approached us and said, there's a guy that wants to do an interview with us, but we have no idea who that guy is. We'd never met him before in our lives. That was the first time that we'd ever talked to him. And he said, you should go talk to this guy. And we said, okay. So I'm thinking to myself, all these major media conferences that we've been at, and a long story short, after I went and played at the one in India, there are people from America that said, wait, what the heck are you doing in India playing? Like, you're an American artist. Why don't you come and play in the United States? And so playing in India actually opened up the opportunity for me to play in America. I could not, this is the miraculous part of the story. I could not go 5 miles down the road to this major conference and find a way for me to play at this conference. There would be no way. I'm not on a label. There's no way for me to get to the people who coordinate this. But by going overseas and playing in India and people from America going over to India and seeing this conference and seeing me there, why don't you do what you did there in the United States? And so big props out to the folks there that reached out and said, hey, we want to make it possible for you to do what you do, not 5,000 miles away, but 5 miles away. And so that's kind of the story of how the NRB has taken shape and taken place in my life. I'll give a couple of icons that are up here. Just so you guys know, there's some contact information for the NRB. Maybe 2023, we can all take part of this together. But I have not given you guys the info. Come on. Here you go, baby. This is going to be me. Or actually, later on today, or probably by the time you guys see this, that's going to be me. Putting I'll be doing this pose. I got to do that pose at some point or people won't even know that it's me. So anyway, that's the information for the NRB. Go check it out. That might be something that if you're listening to this and you're an artist and you're like, hey, man, I just don't feel like I fit. This is how you as an artist, certainly as an entrepreneur, can create an ecosystem for yourself that allows you to be able to move in the ways that you desire to move. And so, man, NRB, amazing story. That's this year. Get that off the screen. Here we go. So a couple of quick things before we shut the show down for today. Hopefully this evening, I will be at the NRB collecting a couple of videos that I can tag onto the show, and I hope to broadcast live from the NRB. I don't know what the sound quality is going to be. It may not be as good as this is, so we'll try to manufacture the best sound that we possibly can. But I want you guys to be able to experience that firsthand. Have a couple of interviews and have a couple of videos that I can throw up just to kind of give you guys an atmosphere. It is a business professional conference. And so for some reason, if you're wanting to go and you're in the Nashville area, I would just make you mindful of the fact that there's a lot of older folks who are there who come from a very business mindset, because it is networking from a business mindset. And so I'm not going to tell you how to dress, but I would just say, you kind of want to dress for the job that you want. If you want people to take you seriously, and you could say, well, it shouldn't be this way. I'm in East Nashville. Look, I know. I know all about it. We just dress however we want to dress. We are creatives. We do what we want to do on this side of town. I get all of that stuff. But if you want to be taken seriously in this world, you might want to throw that coat on just real quick. You don't have to put a tie on, but it is a business professional atmosphere. And so that's the Erskin Music Show. We balled out long today. Well, it was a strong episode. So if you couldn't get anything from this episode that you could use to further your ministry and your career, you just weren't paying attention. And for those of you who are following along with the Babylon Bee, the show notes are in there. Please look at supporting that ministry as well, as they are doing some tremendous things. Erskin Music Show. I'm signing off. Peace. Bye. I'll see you from the NRB conference tomorrow. Bye.